Starcraft Nation Broadcasting, keeping you up to date and in the know.
Welcome to this, and I am your host, Venerati. In today's segment, we are going to be covering the second of three in between Dimaga spawning as the Blue Zerg and Duckloadra spawning as the Red Protoss. Some of you know Duckloadra as White Raw, actually most of you probably do. Now this game is the second game out of three from the Blizzard Invitational that was held at Blizzcon. So these guys are top tier players, as most of you do know. Yes, I know a lot of this is just covering the bases, but there are some that don't. So, for those who don't, these guys are really, really good, and you do see them in most of the major tournaments and leagues and such things as that. So, we are on Xel'Naga Caverns. We just saw them go toe-to-toe on Metalopolis. Dimaga was able to best our Protoss buddy up here with a Mutalisk harass that basically just crippled him and didn't really contain him, but Dimaga was able to expand relatively freely and without any sort of restrictions. And we saw an awesome defensive line drop from Dimaga. I think he had like 10 spine crawlers on the edge of his base, so that was pretty cool. You don't really see that often, especially in high-level games, as heavy static defenses aren't generally seen too much, especially going up against a Protoss player, as they do have blink for their stalkers, and with one observer, they can just blink past any quarter static defenses, especially on Metalopolis, because it has all of that exposed ridge line. So, it's going to be interesting to see whether we see both players here use the same kind of tactics, as we are seeing the same kind of opener here, as this probe from Duckload is doing the same thing as it did last time, forcing Dimaga to get a spawning pool, as he would have a very hard time killing this probe, as Duckload is watching this with extreme caution and care, trying to make sure that this drone is not able to run over here and get that hatch. Will he be able to get it in time? Oh, he doesn't have the minerals just in time. Oh, and he can use it, and he does actually get it. So Dimaga able to juke that probe, able to throw down the hatch. Last time, Dimaga had to switch things up as he was trying to get around a 14 hatch, and this probe was being a dirty little hoe and decided to get in the way. Now that probe just got real ballsy and ran through the entirety of the mineral line right there, as now it's going to be teasing the spawning pool, but the Zerglings are going to say, hell no, get off my mama, and is going to dispatch it. And we have some, well, I don't really know what that's going. Probably one of the casters had to pause the game. Not really sure, as it's one of the weird things about the replays is they don't save the pauses. So, not really that big a deal. But this hatchery will be finishing up. We do see Metabolic Boost coming for Dimaga. So Dimaga is going to be using the Zerglings once again. We're seeing a very similar doorway by Duckloadra here. Now this cell is not going to be wide enough, I don't think. Maybe right here, but definitely not standing right there. That is not Zergling type. However, it's going to be hard for those Zerglings to get past anyway until they get the Metabolic Boost. When they hit that NOS though, baby, those boys fly. They're like dirty little ricers running around. However, right now, we do have a meager amount of Zerglings, as we do have a Stalker coming online for Duckloadra. So Duckload is definitely going to be able to hold this with relative ease. If he does actually bottleneck it here, this is kind of dangerous, as the Zerglings could run past and get inside there and get the mineral line if they wanted to. We have this one Zergling trying to come up here to the Stalker, a little pissed off, but definitely picking the wrong fight because he totally gets stomped. And right now, Dimaga has his natural online, however, does not have any drones, and he's not building any drones. Let's go and take a look at the income tab real quick. Oh, wait, I can't press my buttons tonight. Let's go and take a look at the income tab. There we go. We actually see the Protoss ahead by 10. Now, you wouldn't really think that, especially since Dimaga has got the second hatchery, but Duckloadra has ponied up and has definitely got a lot more harvesters right now than Dimaga. So Dimaga is looking to put a little bit of early pressure here, as he's coming at the walkway, or at the ramp right here, and kind of taunting Duckload, as he knows he can't get past this, but he's even taking a few pot shots at the gateway. We do see Duckload moving up, not approving of that harassment. So you see two Zerglings going down, really not that big of a loss, but we have a large carpool of Zerglings over here, so it looks like Dimaga is actually going to be baiting Duckload right now, as Duckload is going to be expanding to a natural right here, right now. So Duckload is going to be leaving the ramp and coming out to engage this tiny little force of Zerglings, as obviously these Zerglings cannot pose a major threat to this body of stalkers and sentries. But the crazy thing is, Dimaga has an ace in the hole and is basically just hiding this dagger over here behind the Rees, and he could come pouring out up into this ramp, into the main, and just rape this mineral line as, yeah, there's a lot of Zerglings. Let's go ahead and take a look at the unit tab. We do have 55 Zerglings on the field for Dimaga, so Dimaga is now, looks like he is going to be springing the trap as we have these few Zerglings coming up here, as we do have the rest of the Zerglings trying to get around these guys. However, the force field's not. Now, Duckloadra has actually force field himself away from his base. These Zerglings need to run up this ramp, try to make it up there. These sentries are out of... One sentry does have juice for a force field, as we just expended it. Dimaga could really do a lot of economic damage right here if he went into the main. We do see the chrono boosting of the gateways. However, these Zerglings are just throwing their lives away right here, as they're not able to get us around and therefore rendered quite useless. So, wow, Duckload really got lucky there in my book, as I really feel that Dimaga had a huge opportunity to run into the base and just pillage this mineral line. He could have even held right here. He could have actually done to Duckload, as Duckload was doing to him, and left a couple of Zerglings right here to block off these forces while he just pillages these probes. So, wow, that was a critical miss right there. However, Duckloadra and Dimaga are both in the game still, as that really was not very decisive. Either way, the loss tab says otherwise, as Dimaga has lost quite a bit here. He is in the negative by about 1,200 minerals. Let's go take a look at the income tag. Dimaga is way behind on the drone count, so Duckloadra is sitting pretty right now, as we do see a cannon coming up here to kind of solidify this wall that Duckloadra has built right here, like he did last time. So trying to really make it hard for any sort of Zerglings to get in there and wreak some havoc. As we do see the Zerglings trying to come here, we do see another surround, the splitting of the forces. However, Duckloadra has a lot of sentries and splits up the Zergling attack with all of those force fields, basically rendering these Zerglings useless once again. So now the Zerglings are on the retreat, as there is a lot of Protoss units coming up to engage Dimaga, and Dimaga doesn't have anything. He has Zerglings, but he doesn't have any sort of static defense. He has 12 more Zerglings coming online. I don't believe it's going to be enough. We do have a proxy pylon coming down for Duckload, so we can reinforce. Duckload kind of putting himself in a corner right here. Are these Zerglings going to be able to get a surround? No, they're not. These force fields once again splitting up the forces. This Queen reaching over, tapping this Stalker on the shoulder. She does kill that one. However, these Zerglings are too far and too few and far between. The Queen does die, and Dimaga taps out. So now we're sitting at 1-1. Duckloadra did a good job. I think Duckloadra kind of got lucky there that Dimaga didn't run into his main. I believe the game would have gone a lot longer, and we definitely would have seen a different outcome. But Duckloadra takes it in the end. So this is game 2 out of 3. Still going to see who takes the best of 3. So guys, please join me for the last game. I hope you've enjoyed this one. The next game is probably my favorite out of all of them. So guys, as always, for those citizens out there, stay safe.